Katie's back. It's chilly out, but also pretty windy.
Yeah, definitely blustery out there. We've got gusts that are well into the 20s in a lot of spots, which we'll get to. But yeah, you know, we had a cold front, so it did its job. It's really, there's nothing atypical there, but we are going to be stuck in a relatively long pattern here where the temperature just does not break out of the 50s. So the entire 7 days below average. We don't usually say that. Let's start it off, though, by looking at the current temperatures, and we're actually going to zoom it out to a wider zoom, give you a sense of where some of the coldest air is. And as you might imagine, it's off to the north. We're currently in the low and mid 50s. We'll tack on another maybe 3 degrees before it's all said and done. And you take a look at that wider zoom. Obviously, it's colder. You're not going to really break much more out of the 40s than in places like State College or Pittsburgh, up toward Buffalo. Chillier by comparison, but everyone's below average with that northwesterly wind flow. Reason for it, we had that system. It did generally bypass us, but yes, it's cold enough to produce some snow up towards Maine and on its back edge. It's just the basics of meteorology where your area of low pressure is moving in that counterclockwise rotation in the northern hemisphere as high pressure tries to move in, moving in that clockwise rotation. So you basically get that wind tunnel effect. It's called the wind gradient or the pressure gradient more specifically, but that's what gets that wind kicked up. And that's why we're going to have to deal with it for the rest of the midday. At a much wider zoom, some moisture, quite a bit of it working its way across the Lone Star State. Anything left over in terms of tropical moisture from what was Willa as that moved over the Mexican area, that is going to be moving towards us eventually and catching up with an area of low pressure that starts to develop. All of that moves our way this weekend. By and large, it just means that we're going to end up with a pretty soggy upcoming couple of days by that point. So here's region by region what you can expect for the weekend specifically. Yeah, your eyes don't deceive. It's probably going to be cold enough that we see a couple of wet snowflakes in the mountains. It's not cold enough for that in the burbs or in Philly, but we're talking about that raw, chilly rain, like really good tomato soup and grilled cheese kind of weather, you know, indoor kind of a day. Jigsaw puzzle, break out the board games. I feel like I'm making plans for myself here right now, but it really looks like a good day for that because it's not ideal for outdoor plans. And the shore is where you're going to get hit the hardest here. So let's break that down in a bit more detail too. At the shore, you're talking about gusts that could peak upwards of 60 miles per hour. That would bring down some tree limbs. That could bring down some power lines. Flooding risk as well, since we are likely to see some pretty heavy rain out of this. And then also beach erosion from a minor to moderate stage in terms of that, because you've got all that wind really helping to break apart the coastline. Now, looking at the Jersey Shore today, it's a complete opposite by comparison. It is a chilly day, granted, and windy at that, but not as windy as the weekend will produce. And a really nice afternoon if you don't mind that wind, 55 at best. The current wind speeds, though, we mentioned this, they're noticeable. They're anywhere from 10 to 15 to even 20 miles per hour. These are sustained winds, guys. Your gusts could be peaking upwards of 30 miles per hour. So hold on to your hat. You know, later on tonight, at least that wind is going to ease up. It's a cold night, though, dropping down to 40 degrees for our area. That's specific to Philly. It will be colder in the burbs. And then a look ahead. Yeah, there's not one day that hits what's average. And what's average is mid 60s. So we're a pretty far cry from it. But at least we've got sunshine for now. Guys?